You wouldn't know this, but I filmed a video yesterday because Saturday is my normal filming day and this is Sunday. But I decided after some thought that it's just not what I wanted. I have other things that I want to talk about now. And something came up today, so because I've just had some like frustrating things on my mind lately, and this just kind of came up because this video came about because I have had so many butches and studs over the years who I have heard just such horror stories from them of their experiences with femmes, right? And when I say femmes, and I've said this before, I think there is a very clear and distinct line between femme, someone who is femme presenting FEM, and then a femme who is, part of the butch femme community. I think there's a very clear and distinct line, and I think there's often a lot of confusion, but much in the same way that mask and butch are not the same, femme as in FEM being femme presenting and femme are not the same. And I think those are very important distinctions and something that doesn't get talked about enough. But it seems to me that a lot of the time there are butches who have this kind of trauma of, someone trying to use them for whatever purpose, be it, attention or clout or looking cool because, oh, I've got a mask, or you don't, whatever. It's so hard to know exactly what the purpose is. And, I don't want to speculate what the reasons are besides what I have heard. It's really, really frustrating and really, really infuriating because, well, for one thing, I don't get treating people the way that it seems like some people are comfortable treating other people. I don't particularly understand the idea of using someone and not understanding that if you're going to be with a butch or a stud, you have to understand there are certain things that come with that, right? This is not, especially right now, it's kind of like in a lot of ways, there is some overlap with dating a trans person. You have to understand that some shit's gonna come with that. You're gonna have to deal with defending this person and standing up for this person because frankly, that's what you should do for any person that you're gonna date. I think if push comes to shove, you should always be in your person's corner. To me, I think you should always be in your person's corner. We know, because we have all seen, especially with the anti-trans bathroom shit we've got going on right now, I think it's safe to say that there are many butches and studs who are going to be caught in the crosshairs of that. Whether or not they are actually trans themselves, they will be caught in the crosshairs of that because of their masculinity. They will be caught in the crosshairs of that because they don't look the way society has decided women should look. We can have a whole conversation about, whether being butch that you necessarily identify as a woman, you can still be butch and be non-binary. It's a complicated thing, and that is a whole other conversation that I think, frankly, should be its own video. But the long and short of it is, we know, without a doubt, without a question, butchers are going to be caught in the crosshairs of that. And I feel as though, or I know as though, there are quite a few people who have no vested interest in actually standing up for butches and showing up for butches when it counts and when the chips are down. Because that is the real test of how much you actually, are going to be there and how much you are actually going to be in this person's corner. Because it is all well and good to say that you like someone or are attracted to someone or you find someone aesthetically pleasing or whatever, But if you are not willing to be there for them when the chips are down, if you are not willing to stand in their corner when they need you most, don't fucking waste their time. That's really what it is as far as I'm concerned. Do not waste someone's time if you are not willing to be there when they are needing you most. If you are not going to stand up for this person when someone is treating them like shit, or, telling them they don't belong in this place, or, whatever the fuck is being said, because there's so many different things, right? If you can't stand up for this person at that time, then what the fuck are you even doing? Right? Like, it boggles my mind. And so the amount of times I've heard stories from Butches of like, just horror stories of being mistreated. There is this expectation, especially with Butches and studs, of like, oh, well, you're masculine, so you do all the heavy lifting and you do all this and you do all this. And it's not to say that there aren't Butches who like doing things for their femme and like, building things and being this caring, loving, chivalrous. You're still with a person who has wants and desires and needs outside of just doing everything for you and just taking care of you, and it's all about you. And I think that's what's the most upsetting. And there's so much more. Obviously, there's so many other ways that I've heard from Butches about being traumatized from, dating femme presenting people who maybe aren't necessarily femme in the Butch femme way, but are more femme presenting. But it all comes out in the wash, right? If someone is femme presenting and they're treating you like shit, it really doesn't matter how you want to call them. If they're a femme with an E at the end, or just, FEM, at the end of the day, if you're toxic and harmful and making someone's life miserable, it really doesn't matter. It's not a distinction that a lot of people are going to make in that case. And I don't really blame them, to be honest with you. But it's unfortunate because it causes undue trauma. It causes so much pain and so much hurt. And it causes mistrust in the community. And it causes Butches to feel like they don't have anyone. And they've never had good experiences with femmes. And they've never had positive experiences with femmes. And it causes just so much misery. It's frustrating. It's upsetting. I'm not Butch myself. But I am a great lover of Butches. And so it upsets me from that perspective of someone who loves and appreciates Butches and who hates seeing them hurt or upset or used, essentially, for whatever purpose that someone may feel the need or desire to try and use them. It's deeply upsetting and it's deeply harmful. And I just, again, I just can't understand why anyone would do such a thing. I don't understand treating people the way some people do, but it's just disappointing because it seems like more often than not, I hear stories from Butches about just horrible experiences they've had with femmes or femme presenting people or whatever you want to call it. And it's so upsetting. It's so frustrating. And it doesn't need to happen. But it does make me feel, and I made a post about this on Tumblr, I really would like femme presenting people who do not have a vested interest in the Butch femme community to please very kindly leave Butches alone. If you don't have a vested interest in protecting Butches when the chips are down, and that's not to say that a femme presenting person who doesn't necessarily identify as femme in the, strictest sense cannot love and appreciate and respect Butches. That's not saying that at all. I'm sure there are plenty out there who do love and respect Butches and who do honor the community and who are very much not a part of this. And I'm not speaking to them. I would never tell them If you love and respect butches, then this video is not about you. But if you are someone who, and I don't know, is that something people are going to recognize about themselves? That they're someone who, is using the butch community to their own ends and saying that they're attracted to butches, but like have no actual vested interest in protecting a butch when the chips are down, or even not when the chips are down, just protecting a butch, in general. It doesn't even have to be something, severe. It just has to be like, are you willing to protect this person from your own family? If someone in your family says something shitty, are you willing to take them out of that situation and say, no, that's not acceptable, and we're leaving? You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to do that much? Because I feel like there are definitely people who aren't even willing to do that much. And I think no matter who, if you're dating someone or you're with someone or claim to love someone, and you are not willing to keep them as much as possible out of the way of harm, or you are actively causing them harm by your own bullshit, like, leave them the fuck alone. Just leave them alone. You know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating and so upsetting that this constantly continues to be an issue. And, it's the same thing. I feel frustrated when I hear TERFs trying to claim that they care about butches or protecting lesbians. Like, no, you're not. You are causing harm to lesbians on a constant basis, and especially butches. You are causing harm to on a constant basis. And I'm so tired of it. I'm so unbelievably tired of it. I just think butches and studs deserve better. I think they deserve being protected and loved in a way that isn't just, it doesn't have to be just physical. Like, you have to love them deeper than that. You have to be there for them in a deeper way than that. And I just think there are some people who maybe like the idea of dating a butch or a stud, but don't like what comes with it, or don't think about what comes with it, or don't care what comes with it, because it's really just about them. It's really just about what they want and what they can get out of the situation. I would personally appreciate it if you just leave butches the fuck alone. So, I realize in saying this, right, that like, it requires a certain level of self-awareness to say and recognize that you might be that type of person. And I don't know that it's a self-awareness that a lot of people who are that type of person necessarily have. I'm not sure that it's the type of self-awareness that people consider. And I also don't know how many people consider like what it really, really means to date someone who is a gender non-conforming person in the real world. There is a thing, I think, on the internet where it's very like, oh, positivity everywhere in, gender non-conforming people in a lot of spaces online. I think there's a lot of visibility and a lot of positivity, as well there should be. But I think outside of that space, outside of the internet, there's a lot of misunderstanding and toxicity still to this day. There is a lot of harm and scary, scary shit, even to this day. And so I think there's this idea that like, if you see it online, maybe you think it's like, it looks like, oh, people are really respectful and people like really love butches and studs and really appreciate them online, so that must translate into offline. And it does not a lot of times. It and I've said before, it doesn't even translate to offline in the lesbian community a lot of times. There are plenty of instances of people who are lesbians who disrespect butches and studs in so many different ways, and disrespect femmes, and view us as like, oh, you're just trying to do heteronormativity and you're just, you know, or would even say something along the lines of like, well, if you're only interested in masculine people or masculine women, why not just date a man? You know, even someone who's a lesbian would say that. And so thankfully no one has ever said that to me, because I'm pretty sure I would like lose my mind and lunge at them. No, I would just be like, okay, yeah, don't ever talk to me again, because you're clearly a jackass and I have no time for jackasses. There is so much misunderstanding and there is so much lack of appreciation and love for butches and studs. I imagine for them it's very, very tiring and very, very frustrating. And I know for me as a femme who loves butches so, so much, it's frustrating and tiring to watch. And this is not a call out. This is not me trying to throw anyone under the bus or suggest that anyone is doing that in any space or anything like that. I am just talking from the experience of talking with butches, talking with studs, hearing their story, hearing them talk about their experiences. That is strictly where I'm coming from with this video. It is not meant to call anyone out. It is not meant to be accusatory. I don't know people's lives like that. I don't care to. I'm speaking from when I hear butches talking about this. And I see these comments and I see these messages. Many, many a time I have seen these now. And it's always heartbreaking. It is always devastating for me. And, you know, I just finally decided, like, I want to call it out. You just want to hug them. You just want to hug every single person who has had these kind of horrible experiences. It's just so devastating and so frustrating. And I hate that they've been through that. And if you are someone who is watching this video and you have been through those shitty experiences with, you know, someone who is femme presenting, I very much hate that. I am very, very sorry that you have had to deal with that. Know that that's not how it should be, and that is not how it's supposed to be in this community. You know, we are very much meant to stand up for each other and be there for each other and respect each other, and that is very much what this channel is all about. So please know that that's not at all how it's supposed to be, and not at all how it should be. And, you know, I just find it so deeply frustrating and upsetting. And frankly, infuriating too, I'll be honest. You know, I can't make it stop, unfortunately. I can't make people who aren't really invested in loving butches and sharing that love with butches and studs, I can't make those people stop doing that. But I can sure talk about it, and I can sure let my voice be heard and say that's not okay. I just hope that the butches and studs that follow me and watch my content know how much I really, really appreciate them and how much they really, really mean to me, and how much I just want the best for them. I really, really do. The crux of this video, I think this is going to be one of my shorter videos, but the crux of this video is I've been very frustrated by these stories that I keep hearing, and devastated by them too, actually. And I want to see butches and studs getting to be happy and joyous and loved the way they deserve. And look, if you are not someone who can do that, maybe that's okay to just recognize and say, I don't know if I can do what they need or what they deserve. And maybe walk away from that. I know that sounds harsh, and I know that sounds like I'm asking a lot, but I just feel like if you can't give people what they need and what they deserve, then maybe saying like, look, I just don't think I can do that, and having that self-awareness can be beneficial and important. It's hard. Goodness knows, you know, having that self-awareness is not an easy task, but I don't know. That's my 2 cents. That's my thoughts. I kind of had the idea last week where I was like, maybe I should do like once a month, like rants, where I just go off on a subject and just like spend, you know, 15 minutes or whatever, just kind of ranting and really going in about something. And then I was like, I don't know. I feel like with the way the internet is right now, the algorithm kind of like wants you to rant more. And I definitely know my videos in which I have ranted in the past have been probably some of the more successful videos that I've made. And so there is a temptation to make more of those types of videos. On the other hand, I feel like going against the grain and saying I am going to be positive despite the push towards frustration and anger and rants and stuff like that, maybe that's not a bad thing. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of torn. This video was a bit more ranty, but it was also not ranty. It's kind of a strange one. I feel like this is one of those videos that is kind of an in-between where it's like rant-esque but not ranty. But I guess what I'm learning is that the me of now, let's say, you know, the me of 2023, the me who has worked so hard on being more positive, being more uplifting, being more happy in myself, is also the me who I try really hard not to get bogged down in like frustration and anger and like, you know, not, I'm human. Those emotions do happen. Like, let's not pretend. But I try not to get bogged down in them. I try not to get bogged down in the idea of like, oh God, this is so annoying. I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated. You know, there are certain things that can get me going and that I will definitely get heated about or frustrated about. But I try really hard not to do that as a general rule because I don't think it's particularly productive. I don't think it's particularly helpful, and I don't feel like it does me any favors, you know, in general. So I make a concerted effort to be more positive, be more uplifting, be more joyous in myself. And I think that's really made a difference in my life. And so I kind of want my channel to follow suit. But I do think there is a time and a place for having these discussions and talking about things that are real and that are important and that are messed up in the world. And there are quite a lot of things that are real and important and messed up in the world right now. You know, as of filming this, SAG has gone on strike. So the actors and writers are on strike now, and I fully support them. I think that's important and it's about damn time. It's unfortunate that it had to come to this, but I wish I could say I was particularly surprised, to be honest with you. I feel like this has probably been a long time coming. That is its own video. I don't know that I'm necessarily even the person to be talking about this. I am certainly not in SAG as of yet. As a writer, I feel like I would want to be. I'm certainly a part of the writers union, so I support that certainly. But yeah, this is there's a lot of shit going on right now that is very, very problematic. And there's a lot of shit going on right now that is not okay. And there's a lot of shit going on right now that is distressing, especially regarding LGBT issues, especially regarding trans issues. It's coming very, very clear that we are heading towards a future which looks quite a bit like the not so recent past. We got less than a decade of marriage equality or same-sex marriage, and there are already states, including the state that I live in, Texas, that is trying to roll back marriage equality. So I think that's just a matter of time before that happens. We knew that was coming as soon as Roe was struck down, and we have seen that come to fruition. So it's terrifying and frustrating and exhausting. And so I don't tend to talk about those things because while I can easily go on a rant about those, and while I am frustrated by those things, I feel as though it's not productive for me to constantly to make that my channel. It's not productive. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know that it's necessarily, the people who are watching my videos are not necessarily going to be people who are disagreeing with me on this. You know what I mean? The people who are watching my videos are going to be people who recognize how fucked up all of this is. People who are going to be watching my video are going to be people who support all of these things and who say and recognize like this should not be up for discussion, this should not be up for debate. So I kind of feel like at a certain point, you know, it's preaching to the choir. We're talking to ourselves. We all are on the same page about this. I would hope, if you're following me, I would hope that we're kind of on the same page about especially LGBT issues, but really everything that's going on right now. I would hope that we're on the same page of like, this is some fucked up shit, and I'm terrified that it's only going to get worse from here. And so there is part of me that like wants to be more uplifting and talk about happier things and talk about more fun things. For instance, this shirt, I'm very ready for fall. I don't know about you. I am very, very ready for fall. The weather here in Texas has just been getting hotter and hotter, which of course it's summertime, but I'm ready for fall. I am ready for Halloween. I am ready for all of that. Best time of year as far as I'm concerned. So much fun. I love when it's chilly. I love when I can wear cute little things. If you enjoyed this video that's a little bit different, please feel free to comment down below, like this video, and subscribe to my channel where you can find more videos just like this where I put on makeup and look cute and talk about lesbian shit. Of course, if you enjoy this, please subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/NarcissaDeVille, where I talk about special things that maybe wouldn't make a general video. I'm going to have more behind the scenes content as I start filming my video essay, which is incoming. I know I'm going to be talking about this a lot over the next couple of weeks. And until next time, stay devilish. I'm kind of not mad at the lighter blush. I didn't really do it much under my nose, and I feel like this side, for whatever reason, doesn't have it as like prominent, which kind of makes it uneven. I look like a Neapolitan ice cream on this side. Why didn't you guys tell me that? Like, why don't you tell me these things? That's so rude of you. Are you a real fan if you don't tell me when I look bad? Don't answer that.